I don't recall him showing me a photograph of a profile that he says he did of Arthur Allen. But Zodiac had a widow's peak, hair coming in the center more and receding on both sides of the forehead. I don't know if that's the proper term for it, but that's what my parents used to call it.
Unsolved, a Nancy Drew production.
Tonight's episode, Arthur Leigh Allen is a piece of shit. Act 1. Look at it. This is Sherry Jo Bates's death certificate. She was 18 years old, and now she's gone. The monster that killed her was a white man like you, with brown hair like you, and a shoe size like you. And he was a heavy-set man like you. Look at it, mister. We know you were in Riverside. Why were you in Riverside? We know it. You were there. Tell us. What were you doing in Riverside? Act 2. This is Arthur Leigh Allen's job application. And you can see, looking at the G in Lee, it doesn't have a little bottom piece. And then in good, it doesn't have that little swing at the bottom. And then on the next page, this is the second page, and he worked in San Miguel. He worked in San Miguel, and you can see the G doesn't have a little thing tail at the end, at the bottom. Both San Miguel right there twice. Okay, so let's take a look at the G's on here. So if you look at the living, the G doesn't have like a little curve at the bottom. And then unwilling doesn't have a little curve at the bottom. And then blood spurting, dripping, and spilling. It doesn't have a little curve at the bottom. And this one looks a little bit on spilling like a Y. It doesn't have a top. Even this one has a little bit missing on the top. Okay, now let's take a look at the R's. And so there's Arthur. You have that little V with a little mark off to the top right. Same thing here is like a V with a little mark to the right. Fresno, little V with a mark to the right. And then down here in general at elementary, it's kind of a V with a long mark over there. And nature study, some say it's like a check, but it looks more like a V with a little mark off to the top. Okay, now taking a look at the R's. On the R, we have a red here. It kind of looks like that, his R, okay? And then an R here, but it has a little piece to the left right there. Almost has a little bit of a check with a move to the right. And then here, it's kind of more like an R. And then here again, it's almost like a V with a little mark to the right on top. And again, a V almost. See, it was red. Kind of a V and then a mark on the top right. And then this R is kind of normal or different. And then, damn, I can't find it there. Here's the V with the little mark to the side. And here, almost like a little check, but a V and then a little mark to the side for the R. Okay, here you can see the I and Lee is right above. However, on the California, the dot is way to the right. And every time I do this, I can't find them. Find them fine before. Athletics, the dot is to the right. Science, the dot is to the right. Music, it's like that slant and to the right. Involved, dot to the right. Vallejo High School, the dot to the right. So you can see the pattern's pretty clear. File, it's to the right. Travis, it's to the right. Okay, now let's take a look at the I. The I with the dot is a little bit to the right-hand side. Dot to the right. Dot to the right. Dot to the right-hand side. Dot to the right-hand side. Dot to the right-hand side. This one is right above. This one's a little bit to the right. This one's to the right. Dot with the to the right. Find. Dot with the right to the right. Here it's kind of above it, but the whole I is slanted. Act 3. Before he started teaching at Valley Springs, Arthur Leigh Allen typed up this letter of interest in December of 1965 on his typewriter. After the murder of Sherry Jo Bates, the murderer typed up this confession letter. So I thought we would check Mr. Allen's letter to the confession letter, because typewriters have different fonts, just like computers. So looking at the capital letters, starting with Fresno Street, the F, and if you look at that F compared to confession, con and then the F's look the same to me. And then if you look at the S's don't look the same. They're close, but they're not. They don't look like they're the same. And then if you look at the V, again, when the letter types onto the paper, it might not be totally exact. And then looking at the V, comparing that with the V and the victim, it looks different. And then looking at the C in California, I don't know, it's close. And then looking at the D in December and dead, they look close. Epilogue. In May of 1968, Arthur Leigh Allen lost his teaching job at Valley Springs Elementary School. Shortly thereafter, his teaching credential was revoked, and he lost the job that he loved and all the work that he put in to earning that credential. And then December 20th, 1968, 2 high school kids were shot dead on Lake Herman Road. Then 6 months later, another young couple was shot. Then just a few weeks later, a young couple was stabbed And then, just a week or two later, a taxi cab driver was shot and killed in San Francisco. In 1974, Arthur Leigh Allen was charged with child molestation, and in 1977, he was in prison